Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. I would say people's initial notion about hearing this news, it seems pretty valid because, again, why wouldn't November just started? The Wilder fight. I'm in Brooklyn right now, but I'm covering the Wilder fight, Wilder-Stavern 2. That's on November 4th, so it's a fresh month. And why give up a whole month's ground of negotiating, right, to wait for Billy Joe Saunders versus Lemieux, which is in December, and so you pause for the whole month of November and don't negotiate anything. So you give up a whole month, 30 days worth of time, when you could have had things sorted out and figured out. So to me, that definitely shows that there's some level of interest in maybe the winner of Saunders-Lemieux. I mean, again, maybe you guys can do a good job of justifying why you would pause negotiation. And see, because you have to understand, the point of negotiating is for two camps, two teams to come to terms, right? The purse split, who walks out first, this and that, the different parameters. Where's the fight taking place? How many of my promoter or my stable get to fight on the undercard? You know what I mean? All those little parameters, and I don't know all the details, but those are the things that have to be discerned and discussed. So again, if you're willing to, when you could do it now, you're going to pause it to wait for the outcome of another fight, which really has no bearing on Canelo and Triple G, unless you are potentially seeing how the guys look. If someone has an emphatic performance where you can easily flow into that fight, like let's say David Lemieux knocked out the champion, right? Then that's an easy fight you can flow in, because that's a lot of momentum. We already know Canelo, between him and Anthony Joshua, those are the biggest stars since Mayweather is retired in boxing. They're doing the best numbers, the most in attendance, the best pay-per-views and live gates and stuff like that. So they're the biggest stars in boxing. So I think Golden Boy realizes that and knows Canelo has options. I mean, he drew 51,000 people for a fight nobody really even wanted to see in Liam Smith. So I think they're just waiting it out, playing the field, seeing their options, just in case the Canelo Golovkin options and negotiations don't run smoothly. Then they can easily flow into Saunders-Lemieux winner, especially like if it's a lackluster performance from whoever wins that fight and it's a boring fight, then maybe they'll go back to the Golovkin side, because that's already a ready-made fight. But I wouldn't be surprised, me personally, if I think that's why they're waiting, if Lemieux particularly beats Saunders. But if either guy wins emphatically in December and becomes a champion, right, then they may look to stage that Cinco de Mayo weekend, and that's for a few reasons. One, I tell you guys, Canelo, this is just my thoughts, people. Canelo versus Triple G, fight's not going nowhere. People are going to want to see the outcome, right? If Canelo fights the winner of David Lemieux, let's say David Lemieux knocks out Billy Joe Saunders, right? Now he's the WBO champion at middleweight. So if Canelo fights him, then he'd be fighting him for a belt. And usually, especially when you have an A side who's drawing no matter what the odds are, you know what I mean? When you have incentive like a belt, then sales will be decent. You know what I mean? There's not much you could say, oh, Canelo's a bum for fighting the champ. You know what I mean? David Lemieux gets respect. Billy Joe Saunders, he's a champion. So, you know what I mean? No matter who wins, it'll be a championship fight. So it's easy to flow into that. The other thing is this. In my opinion, Canelo versus Triple G, based on how the first fight was, they can't afford to, neither guy can afford, it's a fight you don't want to lose. Neither guy's going to want to lose that fight. First fight was a draw. There's some controversy. Some people said Triple G won. Some people said Canelo won. Some people were content with the draw. But needless to say, you're going to want to look for those adjustments. So Golden Boy, knowing that their last real cash cow is Canelo Alvarez, I could see them putting him, I think this is no shade to them, but Saunders-Lemieux, they don't do what Golovkin does. You know what I'm saying? So for their fighter to give him the best chance of making the adjustments, I think they might even put him in a fight like like Saunders-Lemieux winner. So he has more experience. Golovkin gets just that much older, like 36 or whatever he'll be by the time, and then try to make it for September if Canelo stays with no losses between. Well, he's not fighting for the rest of the year. So if he does fight Lemieux-Saunders winner in May and gets past him, then make the Golovkin fight for September. Because like I said, the Golovkin fight's not going anywhere. And this is again my theory, but I think a lot of it is contingent on the entertainment value and the fashion in which David Lemieux and or Billy Joe Saunders gets their victory or hand raised at the end of that fight. But that's the only thing I can think of. If I was Team Triple G, I don't think Golovkin, his style, is one that should sit on the shelf. Especially if you look at Golovkin. Now, I don't think he was a couple years ago. I don't think he's fighting the best names. I mean, he's fighting the best names around, but I don't think his division was that stacked, is what I'm saying. And no one was really favoring them guys to beat Golovkin because he had way more experience as a pro, as an amateur. He's stronger than things like that. So I don't think a guy who was fighting at one point 3-4 times a year at any level and still winning, I don't think he should all of a sudden wait and start waiting on Canelo. So to me, if I was Team Triple G, and by Christmas, if we don't have everything kind of in place, waiting for contracts to be signed by Christmas, then I think Tom Loeffler, Abel, and Golovkin should go to the drawing board and start looking at other options, like take out their mandatory Jermall Charlo, things like that. They talked about fighting Ryan Murata in Japan. They should start looking at Danny Jacobs rematch if he gets past Luis Cuba Arias, those types of things. I really wouldn't wait and keep Golovkin on the shelf with his style, waiting on Canelo. So if you can get confirmation that Canelo really and truly does want to fight you, like I said, by Christmas, cool. But I wouldn't wait too much longer because they talked about Golovkin possibly fighting in March. And if he can't get Canelo's word or Golden Boy's word by December, then I think they should look to make their own plans and then just try to catch up with Canelo later. So that's my thoughts on the whole Canelo Triple G situation. Some people will say if Canelo is looking at other options other than Golovkin, then it's a duck, and he's ducking Golovkin, and he wants more time, stuff like that. But I mean, it's up to you guys how you want to decipher that. It's just funny because guys like Andre Ward, he got so much criticism for beating Kovalev by 1 round on 3 judges' scorecards in a close fight, but Andre Ward knew he could beat Kovalev. That's why he signed on for an immediate rematch. So if Canelo does in fact target the Saunders-Lemieux winner, it's not a horrible fight, especially like I said, if they win good. But it just shows you that they're trying to gain more momentum and gain more confidence as middleweights, even though he's been in the ring with Golovkin for 12 rounds versus, like I said, an Andre Ward. He pressed for the immediate rematch. Andre Ward could have did the same thing. He could have just tried to, you know what I mean, if he had a mandatory or, you know what I mean, some other obligation other than Kovalev, he could have just tried to seek them out to get even more experience at light heavyweight. But in his mind, he knew he could beat him. So I guess bottom line, what I'm saying, Golden Boy and Canelo's next move on what they decide, if they press for the immediate Golovkin rematch or go another option, that's going to be very telling, because I think the world is clamoring for an immediate rematch. So if they end up fighting like Lemieux-Saunders winner, to me that stipulates they probably want Golovkin to get a little bit old and they want to gain more experience at middleweight. So when they go back, then they're going to be very confident. Like if you get past the Saunders-Lemieux winner, you're going to be real confident because you already went in there and were with him for 12. But I don't know, from a business standpoint, that's what it seems like, and that makes sense because again, Canelo, another thing is he was doing good in the fight, but his stamina looks suspect. So obviously if you have another fight in between Golovkin instead of going straight at it, because Golovkin might come at you full throttle from round 1, so you're gonna have to be able to keep that up. So again, I can't predict what Golden Boy and Team Canelo are gonna do, but based on what they do, that's going to tell me something. Maybe they want more time and they want to, you know, stitch up the little loose ends like Canelo's stamina or something to give him the best shot of winning cleanly in a rematch. Let me know your thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.